Winston Churchill and his alcoholism. Winston Churchill was a British politician, statesman, and writer who was widely regarded as one of the greatest leaders in modern history. He served as the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom twice, first from 1940 to 1945 during World War II, and then again from 1951 to 1955. Churchill was born into an aristocratic family and served in the British Army before entering politics. He was a Member of Parliament for over 60 years, during which time he held various high-level positions in government, including serving as Chancellor of the Exchequer, Minister of Munitions, and Home Secretary. Churchill is best known for his leadership of Britain during World War II, where he rallied the British people with his inspiring speeches and refusal to surrender to Nazi Germany. He famously declared, "We shall fight on the beaches, we shall fight on the landing grounds, we shall fight in the fields and in the streets, we shall fight in the hills, and we shall never surrender." In addition to his political achievements, Churchill was also a prolific writer and won the Nobel Prize in Literature in 1953. His most famous works include his 6-volume memoir, The Second World War, and his historical account of the English-speaking peoples. Churchill's legacy is one of courage, determination, and leadership in the face of adversity, and he remains a revered figure in British and world history. His early life. Winston Churchill was born on the 30th of November 1874 in Blenheim Palace, Oxfordshire, England. He was the son of Lord Randolph Churchill, a prominent politician, and Jenny Jerome, an American socialite. Churchill spent most of his childhood at his family's country estate, where he received a formal education from private tutors. However, he struggled academically and failed to gain entrance to a prestigious Harrow School on his first attempt. Despite his academic difficulties, Churchill showed a talent for writing and began contributing articles to newspapers and magazines while still in his teens. He also developed a love of military history and adventure, which would later influence his political and military career. In 1893, Churchill entered the Royal Military College at Sandhurst and was commissioned as a second lieutenant in the 4th Queen's Own Hussars. He served in India and Sudan and saw combat in the Second Boer War in South Africa, where he was captured and imprisoned but managed to escape. Churchill's experiences in the military and his early forays into politics laid the groundwork for his later career as a leader and statesman. Despite facing setbacks and challenges throughout his life, Churchill remained determined and resilient, qualities that would serve him well in the years to come. His scandals. Winston Churchill was a controversial figure throughout his life and career, and he was involved in several scandals over the years. Some of the most notable include the Gallipoli campaign. Churchill was the First Lord of the Admiralty during World War I and played a major role in the disastrous Gallipoli campaign, which resulted in heavy casualties for British and Commonwealth forces. Many criticised Churchill for his handling of the campaign, and some historians have argued that his mistakes contributed to the failure of the operation. Tony Pandy riots. In 1910, Churchill was Home Secretary and sent troops to the Welsh town of Tony Pandy to quell a violent miners' strike. The use of force was controversial and sparked accusations that Churchill had overreacted. The Bengal famine. During World War II, Churchill's policies contributed to a devastating famine in Bengal, India, that killed millions of people. Churchill's refusal to divert food supplies to India was widely criticised, and some have accused him of negligence and racism. Black and tans. In 1920, Churchill authorised the creation of a paramilitary force known as the Black and Tans to suppress the Irish Republican Army. The Black and Tans were known for their brutality and carried out numerous atrocities, leading to accusations that Churchill had condoned war crimes. Despite these scandals, Churchill remains widely admired for his leadership during World War II and his contributions to British history and politics. However, his controversial actions and policies continue to be debated and analysed by historians and scholars. His alcoholism. Winston Churchill was known to have struggled with alcohol throughout much of his life. He was a heavy drinker and often consumed large quantities of alcohol, including whiskey and brandy. Churchill himself once famously quipped, "I have taken more out of alcohol than alcohol has taken out of me." Churchill's alcohol consumption was a source of concern for his family, friends and colleagues, many of whom worried that it was affecting his health and his ability to govern effectively. His wife, Clementine Churchill, was particularly concerned and often urged him to moderate his drinking. Despite his heavy drinking, Churchill was able to function at a high level and achieve great success in his political career. However, his alcoholism is believed to have contributed to his erratic behaviour and mood swings, which would make him difficult to work with and very unpredictable. Churchill's struggle with alcohol has been the subject of much discussion and analysis, and some historians and biographers suggesting that it was a coping mechanism for his depression and anxiety. While his drinking undoubtedly had a negative impact on his health and personal relationships, it did not prevent him from becoming one of the most iconic and influential figures of the 20th century. Churchill's alcohol consumption was a well-known aspect of his public persona, and he was often seen smoking cigars and sipping on a drink, even during important meetings and events. Despite his heavy drinking, he was also known for his sharp wit, intelligence and charm, which helped him to win and overcome supporters and allies. Churchill's alcoholism became a more serious concern later in life, particularly after he suffered a series of strokes in the 1950s. His doctors warned him that he needed to cut back on his drinking, but Churchill was resistant and continued to drink heavily until his final years. Despite the negative effects of his alcoholism, Churchill's legacy as a leader and statesman remains largely untarnished. He is widely remembered for his inspiring speeches, his courage in the face of adversity, and his unwavering commitment to defending democracy and freedom. His struggles with alcohol, while significant, are often seen as a minor footnote in his remarkable life and career. In recent years, there has been a growing recognition of the impact of alcoholism and addiction on public figures, and some have suggested that Churchill's drinking could be viewed as a serious health issue rather than a character flaw. Nevertheless, Churchill's alcoholism remains a topic of fascination and debate among historians and the public alike. His health. Winston Churchill was known to have suffered from a number of health issues throughout his life. In addition to his struggles with alcohol, he also experienced several other health problems that affected his well-being. One of Churchill's most well-known health issues was his tendency to suffer from bouts of depression, which he referred to as his black dog. He also had a history of anxiety and insomnia, which he often tried to manage with medication. Churchill was also known to be a heavy smoker, which contributed to his poor health in later years. He suffered from bronchitis and other respiratory problems, and his smoking is believed to have contributed to his development of lung disease. In addition to these problems, Churchill also had a number of other health problems, including high blood pressure, heart disease, and a history of strokes. He suffered a severe stroke in 1953, which left him partially paralysed and affected his ability to speak. Despite his health problems, Churchill remained active and engaged in politics throughout his life. He continued to work and write right up to his death in 1965 at the age of 90. While his health undoubtedly had an impact on his life and career, it did not prevent him from achieving great success and leaving a lasting legacy as one of the most important figures of the 20th century. His death. Winston Churchill passed away on the 24th of January 1965 at the age of 90. He died of a stroke at his home in London, surrounded by his family. Churchill's death was widely mourned, both in Britain and around the world. He was given a state funeral, which was attended by numerous world leaders, dignitaries, and members of the public. His coffin was carried along the River Thames on a boat named Haywan Gore, passing by many of the famous landmarks that he had helped to defend during World War II. Churchill's death marked the end of an era in British politics and was seen as the passing of a great statesman and leader. He was remembered for his contributions to British history and his unwavering commitment to defending democracy and freedom, even in the face of adversity. Today, Churchill remains a revered figure in British and world history, and his legacy continues to inspire and influence leaders and citizens across the globe. His speeches, writings, and leadership continue to be studied and celebrated, and his impact on the course of world events remains significant to this day. Please continue to support my channel by subscribing. Please comment, like and subscribe if you wish for more stories, and leave your suggestions below and I will endeavour to cover them.